everyone. Happy Monday. If you're in the United States, happy MLK Day. My name is Janelle Villiers, and I am your host of the Janelle Villiers Podcast. And here on the Janelle Villiers Podcast, we talk about all things about how to write your book, how to edit your book, how to market and sell your book. And I'm really excited because today we're actually going to be talking just specifically about that. And these are for my nonfiction authors out there, my thought leaders, my public or professional speakers, those of you who hold courses, master classes, small business owners, consultants. This is for you because all of you have books that you need to write in order to set yourself up as the authority, or you have a book out there and you're trying to figure out why it's not actually getting to the clients that you thought it was going to get to. So I want to talk to you guys about all of that. But as you know, I always love to shout out the people who are chiming in for the first time. Hello, everyone checking us out for the first time. Go ahead and put a 1 in the comment section for those of you that are coming in for the first time. And for those of you that are following again, or this is not your first time, go ahead and put a 2 in the comments. That way I can say hello to you and shout you out. And if you're watching this on the replay, just put an R in the comments. That way I know you're watching on the replay. Love to get all of your questions. Love to answer all of your questions as well. So make sure you put those down below. And, you know, when I'm not giving tips personally, I love to have authors come on and share their experience and what it was like for them to put their book out so you guys can learn from them. And sometimes I have guests on who haven't written a book yet, but their story is certainly worth sharing and making sure that it gets a lot more attention. So welcome to the Janelle Villiers Podcast. I am really excited. So today we are going to be talking about a topic that I think is really interesting. Why do high ticket clients ignore your funnel? Why is that? I think it's an excellent question. And I really wanted us to get into it to figure out what's going on for you. Because as many of you know, I'm going to talk about it, but a book could be the answer to your solution. So let's get into it. Let's talk about why this is, how a book could be the solution, and what you should do about it, and some practical tips and all the things. As you guys know, I always come with my notes. I got my notes because I don't want to miss a thing. Okay, so number 1, high ticket buyers do not buy fast, right? I think we all know this organically because we're a high ticket buyer, right? We buy carefully. And so high ticket clients are not looking for speed, they're looking for certainty. And so when someone is considering a high ticket investment, they're not just buying a service, they're buying proximity, like trust, a worldview, long-term impact. That's the kind of thing that they're looking for. And that decision often affects their reputation, their finances, and or even their identity. And so funnels are designed for speed, but not necessarily for what the high ticket buyers are looking for, because they actually want to slow down because this is so important. So a high level executive, for example, is not clicking a countdown timer and booking a call in 10 minutes. Yeah, no, they're not doing that. They're asking themselves, do I trust how this person thinks? And so a tip that you can do is, I would love for you to go back and look at your funnel and ask yourself, does it rely on urgency or pressure? And if that's the case, you could be filtering out the exact clients that you really want. So consider changing that. All right. The second thing I wanted to talk about is how funnels feel transactional, to be honest, to premium clients. Let's be honest again, many of you out there, you are the premium client that you've been looking for. And so you know that when you see those funnels, you know what they are. You've seen people create these funnels, right? And so you're kind of like, beyond that. And so funnels treat everyone the same. And we know that you're special, right? So just like any of the other high ticket buyers, they also want to feel special. They don't want to feel like a number or just some sort of metric, right? They are listening for nuance. They're evaluating even the tone, and they're certainly watching how you handle complexity. And the funnels that a lot of us are using, to be honest, are too simple to even get into that. So, you know, if your funnel, for example, says, watch this video, book a call, buy now, all of this feels like a system, and it definitely doesn't feel like a relationship. So what's different is when you have a book. A book says something like, sit with my thinking, understand how I see the world, decide when you're ready, right? It slows things down. And so I think something that you can ask yourself, so like a practical step that you can take is ask yourself if your funnel sounds like it's selling or if it's inviting. High ticket buyers respond to invitation. They're not responding to pressure. Okay. So the third thing I wanted to talk about is, so far, if this is helpful, by the way, if this is helpful or valuable, go ahead and put a V in the comments so I know that this is tracking, that this is helpful for everybody out there. Please let me know. All right. So the third thing I wanted to talk about are books, or the fact that books signal authority. And they signal authority without asking for permission, to be honest. So what happens is that a book is proof that you have depth before you ever speak to someone. So when you write a book, it shows that you have you've basically been living with these ideas for a really long time, or at least long enough that you were able to organize them and put them into a book. And you've thought through potential objections, or particularly the nuance that a lot of high ticket buyers are looking for. And a book also has taken responsibility for your thinking, essentially, right? You're putting it out there in a book. And so high ticket clients trust. They trust the fact that you've thought this out, you've really taken the time to organize it, and they trust that way more than other marketers. So, for example, if a client who reads your book already understands your philosophy, then by the time they book a call, they're not asking, can you help me? No, they're asking, how can we actually work together? Right? They've gotten past that stage. So here's a step that I would take if I were you, is I would look into whether your book is answering the question people usually ask on the sales calls. So essentially the sales call becomes a confirmation because your book talks about it already. So it doesn't feel like you're persuading or convincing. It's more just like confirmation. So I love that part about books, actually. That's one of the things I love a lot. All right. So, hey, Birdie, I see you. Just taking a look at the comments to see if there are any questions. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments as well. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. All right. So the fourth thing that I wanted to talk about is that high ticket buyers want context, not just claims. Right. So they want a lot of context. They want depth, right? Basically, they're not into superficial or surface level promises. So funnels can often lead with like really bad claims because they're basically designed to capture attention, not really to go into nuance and context and all that stuff. And so the high ticket buyers, they really want to understand how you think, not just what you promise. They want context, they want reasoning, they want philosophy, right? All of that. And so, for example, if your funnel says something like scale your business fast, a book, on the other hand, would explain why most scaling strategies fail and what needs to change first. So now they're getting all of the context and the nuance from the book. And so that is going to help to build a lot of trust, where the other funnel just builds skepticism, to be honest. And so a step that I would take for this particular aspect is that check in with your offer and see if your offer requires nuance to explain. Because if that's the case, a funnel is just not going to be enough. You need a book, because the book gives you space to build on that understanding. Right? Okay, number 5, trust is built in private, not in public. 100%. I don't think I can like overemphasize that enough. Reading is really like an intimate act, you know. Funnels just kind of seem performative, you know, they're just kind of like out there, again, very superficial. And so your high ticket buyers often want to explore your ideas privately, to be honest, before they actually raise their hand and say like, hey, how can we work together? They're not really looking to be sold while they're deciding. And so a book allows for that time to engage with your thoughts, with your ideas, without the pressure and without kind of being even visible to all of it. So, for example, someone can read your book on a plane, for example, at nights, in between meetings even, and no one's watching, no one's tracking, No one's tracking the clicks. And so that kind of privacy actually builds safety, and the safety leads to trust. So a step that you could take is, really think about your book and how your book lets clients self-qualify emotionally, intellectually before they even contact you. And just make sure that your book is very clear on the solution that you can provide in whatever area of trouble they're having or challenge that they're having. Oh, I see you, Josiah. You would also like to write books. You would like to be an author. Amazing. I would love to be able to talk to you. So please, please, I will send you a link later after I finish with all of the different things I want to talk about today. And we can, for a free 30-minute call where we can talk about what type of book you're writing and what you're looking to do. I'd be more than happy to do that with you. Okay. So if there are any other questions, go ahead and put those in the comments too. I will answer all of your questions. All right. So the sixth thing that I want to talk about is that books filter instead of chasing. So not everyone is going to read your book. I mean, that's just the hardcore facts. But that's exactly why it works. Because high ticket clients are willing to invest in time before money. So if someone will not read your book, then they're likely, honestly, not your ideal client. Books really act as a filter, really. And that filter naturally repels people who aren't aligned with the clients that you really are looking to serve and what you can offer to serve people. So an example of this is like, if a client says something like, I love chapter 3, that person is already speaking your language. You don't have to convince them of your value. Again, it's by the time you have the conversation with them for the sales call, it's just really confirmation. There's no like convincing or anything. You guys are already speaking the same language. So stop trying to make your book appeal to everyone. Let's repel the wrong people and get right down to the people that we're looking to actually serve, right? Okay, so the seventh thing I want to talk about, and I have 8 things. So this is the seventh. The seventh is that funnels really create like a attention thing. They're kind of bright and shiny, but books rather create commitment. So attention honestly is easy. Like you can figure this out. There's a lot of AI tools even where you can create certain steps and get organized and figure out how to get attention. In fact, I have a client. His name is Austin Armstrong. Please go get his book, Virality. He talks all about it. He gives you the step-by-step framework to do just that, right? To get attention. And there are steps that you can follow. But I also want to say that attention is easy, but commitment is harder. And so when you scroll through a funnel and it's like super passive, it's just kind of like, it's almost like social media. It's just like, you're bored. You're just kind of mindlessly scrolling. But when you're reading a book, it requires focus, right? Attention, intention even, right? And so a high ticket client demonstrates commitment before they even buy. And that's exactly what you're looking for. Someone who reads your book has already invested hours with you, and that time investment builds belief. So one of the things that you can do is measure the seriousness of the people who are interested in working with you by seeing how much they've tried to engage with your content, particularly your book. All right. The 8th thing that I want to talk about is how to use a book. Oh, I see a question from Birdie. I am not tech savvy. Could be. Yeah. Well, certainly we do this as a tribe. Everyone's not going to know everything, right? So Verdi, I would definitely recommend that you find someone that you do feel very confident in terms of their tech abilities to either walk you through how to do the things that you're looking to do or outsource it, right? And you just find somebody who can just do it for you and you don't have to, because the best leaders in the world actually surround themselves with really smart people, but they don't necessarily know everything. In fact, they pride themselves in the fact that they don't know everything. They just surround themselves with a lot of people who know a lot about particular things, bring them all together, and they work towards the same cause. So I highly recommend finding people that you can outsource this to, because you certainly don't have to be techie. You don't have to be the expert in this area, or you get someone to coach you through the process, guide you through the process. So that way you can learn some of the tech things that might be easy enough for you to understand and then actually execute. So that would be my recommendation for you. Okay, again, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. I'm at the 8th thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about, and that is how to use a book strategically in your business. And so a book should not sit at the end of your funnel. Let's just be honest here. I really want to make sure this is clear. It should really sit at the center of your authority. Your book should clarify your philosophy. It should really establish what your framework even is. It should attract aligned clients and shorten the sales cycle, again, because of the trust that they've already built by reading everything, the context you've given, the frameworks and all of that. So really the book becomes the bridge between the interest that people have and then the investment that they ultimately make. And so instead of sending people to a sales page, send them to your book. This book does the nurturing. The call confirms alignment. So position your book as the first step in working with you, not a product that you sell. Highly, 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 highly recommend that. All right. Totally get this question. Verdi asked, thank you. I need an assistant. Why do people read your book but don't write reviews? So this is something, again, if you have someone who can guide you through this process, there are certain things that you can do to incentivize people to write reviews. Hey, I'll give you a sneak peek if you promise to write a review, etc. There are other things that you can say, hey, if you read my book, write a review, I'll give you XYZ. I mean, it could be something, the top 10 tips for whatever your niche is. It could be a sneak peek to your next book, right? Something of value on the other end to incentivize people to write reviews. But you essentially have to ask for it. Don't just expect for people to write reviews on their own. I would go back to all of the people who you know who got the book to go ahead and ask them, hey, can you write me a review? Because people don't know that that's something that you need. They don't know that it's something that helps get your book more visibility. And it's something that you have to actually ask for and or incentivize people to do, which is another way of asking for it. That's a great question or a great point. Some people don't realize that. So we've gone through, I'm going to do the roundup. As you guys know, I always like to review what we've talked about. So in answering this question as to why your high ticket clients aren't using your funnel, we talked about 8 different things. One, that the high ticket buyers do not buy fast. They buy carefully. They're not looking for speed. They're looking for certainty. And your book can provide that. Funnels, the second thing is that funnels feel transactional to premium clients. They really are looking for someone to see them specifically, have a very nuanced conversation with them, not something that feels like they're just another number or a cog in the wheel of your funnel. The third thing we talked about is how books signal authority without asking for permission. 100%. The book creates the depth that people can read and understand. So that way they're speaking the same language as you. The fourth thing we talked about is how high ticket buyers want context, not just claims. And that funnels a lot of times just do superficial claims, but the book allows for you to go into more context, which is really, really important. And so the fifth thing is that trust is built in private, not in public. And literally people read books in private, right? No one knows if they bought the book, right? Unlike a funnel where the clicks are collected and, all that stuff, and you become just another statistic. And so people love to be able to read in private, and then again, creating that safety and that trust. The sixth thing we talked about is how books filter instead of chasing. Heck yeah, like this person who you really want as your client is going to take the time to read your book because they're looking for the context. They're looking for things to slow down. So the people who aren't into that, they're not your ideal client. The seventh thing that we talked about is that funnels create attention, but books are really the thing that create commitment. So it's really easy to create attention. Honestly, really easy. But commitment takes longer periods of time. It takes the depth. It takes the context. And so that's what the book can do, where the funnel will not do that. And the last thing we talked about was how to use the book strategically in your business. And so remember that the book is not the end of your funnel. It is literally the center. You should be pointing everyone to get your book because it clarifies your philosophy, establishes your framework, attracts aligned clients, and shortens the sales cycle. So tell everybody to go buy your book. All right. So high ticket clients do not ignore funnels because funnels are bad. What happens is that they ignore the funnels because they're really looking for depth and clarity, not something that's superficial or that feels misleading. So if that was helpful for you guys, please, again, put a V in the comments to let me know that that was valuable. If you liked what you saw here today, honestly, it's a simple, free thing to do. All you got to do is click subscribe. If you're on YouTube, if you're on LinkedIn, hey, LinkedIn, it's like my new place to show up. I love to see you guys. If you're on Facebook, hello, Facebook. But certainly like and share this to someone who you think really needs to hear this. And I will see you guys back this same time next week, Monday, same place. And until then, have a great night, everyone.